What?
I'm not so sure you wanted to come to this session. You see, we brought our toys here and stuff a little bit. So welcome to our talk on exercise today. And we put up on here for individuals with autism disorders and stuff. But really, our focus on our routine or our talk today is to be exercise for everybody. It's not just about individuals that have ASD now, because we need to be involved with those individuals to help them exercise, which means we need to know how to exercise, and we need to make sure our bodies are ready to exercise as well, so that we don't incur issues as we're working with these individuals. So with that, my name is Jim Biebersdorf. I'm an athletic trainer over at Bellin Health here in Green Bay. I've been with Bellin for about 14 years. I initially came to Bellin as an athletic trainer from UW Oshkosh, where I graduated from, and I was lucky enough to meet Mitchell and Matt, as you guys probably all have met or known for a long time. Oh gosh, it's got to be moving on 10 years ago almost already. I would say that I've known these two young men and had the opportunity to work with them since they were in 7th grade. So they've been able to teach me a whole lot about what we're going to discuss here this morning as well and stuff. So my passion kind of lays in the area of what we call movement science. I'm an individual who takes a look at how the human body moves. You know, we all move, but does our body move well? And that's the part we're going to talk about today and stuff. So I take a look at how the ankle moves, the knee moves, the hip moves, the back moves, and you got to put them all together. It's kind of like the Packers. You got to put the offense together, the defense together, and the special teams if you really want to get your best outcomes. And it's the same with our body. The better we can get it to individually move as parts, the better we can train it to work together, the better the health outcome results we're going to get from the time we put into it. And that is my passion. And I've had the opportunity for the last 8 years now to be a part of our fitness center. So I get to work with all of our personal trainers as well as all of our members, so that we are all growing as they move to be able to bring a better product to the people who engage with us at Bellin Health.
And my name is Evie Strand. I'm one of the trainers. I work alongside Jim. He's kind of our lead in our department. I have a 37-year background in the fitness industry, and I'm ACE certified. I'm a health coach, so I look kind of starting to take a look at what's going on beyond the gym. So you can do a workout, but what impacts us those rest of the 23 hours of a day. So that's become a real big interest, including nutrition. And I'm also a certified personal trainer. My story is a little different than Jim's, and I'm really excited to present today because that is my son Corey. He's now 37, so I have a son with autism. And I think just a little story on me is I started my fitness career right after having him, in just a need, as any mother would want to, get back in shape and take off weight, and I've always been a good athlete. But then as he got into toddlerhood and so on and so forth, and really Corey has never really had a concept of danger, could not comprehend that. So for self-preservation reasons, I've always put my fitness first and myself first in the morning, doing my workout, just because I needed to get to the street before my son would run out into traffic. So I have to say that me putting myself first every morning, getting up, doing a good workout, really helped me navigate my day, which many times was very difficult. As he got into school, trying to advocate for my son, trying to advocate and look at not just the academic portion and the educational realm of where my son is going to develop, but I always really wanted him to grow up being healthy and of a healthy weight and not have to have those issues later in life. Some of the worries I have is as he gets older and those communication skills aren't that good, and the ability to acknowledge what's going on with his body, I fear for disease and all sorts of things like that where he's not going to be able to communicate to me. So at this point, Corey is on a treadmill every day for 20 minutes. He's involved in swimming, and me and my team, he's really on a day-to-day basis look at, how do we get Corey moving for at least 30 to 45 minutes every day before he has a lot of sitting time or whatever have you. So I've been, lucky that I've been motivated to have that extra energy to put into my son. So
getting into our talk a little bit more specific, our objectives today, kind of what Edie just alluded to, is understanding the importance and benefits of exercise, and this for all of us. So hopefully you guys are going to be able to walk out of here having learned and be able to take away some things that you're going to be able to implement into your lifestyles, your daily exercise routines from a health benefit. Understanding the role that exercise plays into improving the physical, mental, and social well-being. Again, what Edie just said, there's a lot more than just heart health when it comes to how physical fitness can benefit all. And really the key is to being able to creatively implement the 4 components of fitness into the workout. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And that's where the toys come into play. You know, we have to be able to make it work. We have to make it enjoyable, and we have to make it effective at the same time. And really it's all about improving our lives. Okay? And a key concept we put in there is more is not better, better is better. And that's a very important concept. You know, we all know that exercise is important, but it's truly getting the most optimum results out of what we're doing, and that's determining first, what do we actually need to get good results. Some of us may be very good in one area of fitness already, so we need to do a lot of work over in another area, and then we have to figure that out before we actually come in. So when Edie and I are working with individuals that come into our facility, you know, and they're giving us their goals of what they want to do, we're listening to what they want to do, but at the same time we're going, I think we need to work a lot of this if we're really ever going to get to that goal. It's helping people understand what do they really need to improve if we're going to get them to their goals. So we'll continue to talk more about that as we go through.
And just like, again, general population, with the advancement of so much technology, this is a blanket statement for everybody. Caloric expenditure for weight management is probably what we think of first when we are motivated to exercise. How do we burn calories? For the population, any of the special needs populations, they tend to be a lot of sitting and that type of technology, but yet we have a lot of the population too, you would agree, are fidgeters. Fidgeting burns a lot of calories, so that's why I think fidgeting is kind of a good thing from that perspective. Energy expenditure for controlling anxiety and behavioral management. The same for us, right? What a great stress relief for all of us. Social engagement and relationship building, again, you know, if you went to a general gym, that's what you would see, although we're seeing less and less as people have their faces in phones. But, you know, for the population, having, you know, getting those workout buddies, people that can mentor and help individuals learn how to exercise, mirror exercise, and be accountable. And then improving sleep and restoration. To have really good, that deep REM sleep, and to have great recovery after movement, we have to be really having some good night's sleep. So that tends to also be something that is somewhat challenging for autism spectrum disorder.
There's, I don't know if you guys get into the evidence much, but there's a lot more evidence-based research coming out all the time that shows how important sleep is. And as we at Bellin are starting to put together some injury prevention program stuff that we're going to start to bring to the populations of people, sleep ranks right up there on the top of what we are actually starting to assess people for from their overall health. You know, I think we all know sleep is important. We need it to survive. But I'm not sure that we really know how big of a role that sleep truly plays in overall health and wellness, and a much bigger part. So before I move on to the next slide, I want to get you guys involved here a little bit. So I mentioned a little bit earlier, one of our objectives, the 4 components of fitness. This is where I want you guys to tell me, what do you guys think when you think fitness health? We classify it, we break it down into 4 pieces of pie, and those are the 4 pieces we've got to work on. What do you think one of the 4 components of fitness are? Right?
So there's nutrition.
Nutrition would be another subsidiary of that, yes. Yep.
But if you entailed and started to embark on fitness.
Just in the fitness realm, how about?
Flexibility is one.
Absolutely.
Mobility, flexibility.
Okay, what's another one? Strength, absolutely.
Yep. Endurance, cardiovascular, right, aerobic activity.
Absolutely.
And the powerhouse, the core.
Core stability, right?
Yeah.
So when we look at it, these are the 4 areas when it comes to starting to design that creativity of how are we going to build a program that's not only good for us, but good for the individuals that we work with. These are the 4 components that we want to work into that routine. Now, some of us, as you look at your programs, may go, oh, I've got a really good cardio program. I already do 30 minutes. Have you guys seen the standards when it comes to cardiovascular recommendation out there? It says 150 minutes minimum a week. That is the American College of Sports Medicine's recommendation. Okay, so when we look at that from a standpoint of is, are we meeting good health standards ourselves? That's a number that you want to put onto your programming stuff. So as Edie mentioned with Corey, 30 minutes a day up on that treadmill. You got to do that 5 times a week to meet that standard. If we're not, that's something we want to help people get into their routine, okay? So, before we get into it, we've mentioned, I think, around about this several times already in our discussion. It's all about you guys. So how many of you have a child with you? How many of you are already working and exercising on a regular basis? Okay? That's what we want to, that's a big piece of what we want to touch on today, okay?
How many of you are educators that deal with the population?
So, great opportunity. So, if we say a statement like, will the majority of people with ASD exercise on their own? Probably not, right? They need some guidance, they need a mentor. Okay? And that's what our roles come in. We want to help guide them. That's a huge part. We need to give them guidance, we need to give them instruction, we need to motivate them, we need to be creative and make it fun for them. Okay? I had the opportunity to do that with Mitch and Matt over my career, and I learned that all the way through, and it was trying to figure out, well, what can we do that these guys enjoyed doing so they would come back and wanted to keep them doing it, because it's no different for us, right? I mean, if you get into an exercise routine and I hate doing that, you're not going to keep doing it. We got to find what's fun for you guys too, and we got to merge that, what's fun and what's effective and stuff. And the key for that is, we want to get here today. We need to make sure that we as mentors, we as the person who are going to be leading it, we need to be ready. Because we don't want your body to fail you as you're trying to work with the individuals to get the opportunity to lead on your journey to helping them with better health. So the key to all of that, this is a really, really important phrase that we are starting to really try to implement. Greg Cook is the guy who did it. He is a leader of what's called the functional movement system. And this is something you might want to write down. It's functionalmovement.com. Okay? And if you go onto that website, you're going to have access to probably one of the leading organizations in the country that's going to help you on your journey to how do I meet those 4 components of fitness. How do I get my body to move well? And that's the key. When we look in the fitness industry look at, people move often, right? Many of us wear a Fitbit. We get our 10,000 steps in a day, some of these different technology pieces. But moving often is not the end of the story. Moving often is just the start of the journey. The key is we need to get you to move well. Because if you move, okay, you could put 15,000 steps on a day. Well, what do you think that's going to do to the rest of your body as you move often throughout the course of your life? We need to determine, well, why is that? Is that an ankle issue? Is that a hip issue? Is that a back issue? Is that a stability issue? And that is the key. And if we can determine what that is based on assessments, and we can give you specific exercises to incorporate into your daily routines, we can maybe change the way that you move. And by getting you to move well, you're going to be able to move often a lot longer in life without having those potential occurrences of aches and pains that so many of us deal with, right? How many of you have aches and pains, knees, back, shoulders, hips, right? Yeah, so we all do. I do. I can say I've got lots of them, okay? But I'm working on them all the time. But that's my job. I know what to do. My job is to help you guys. And again, in the role of a mentor, if you're going to get more involved, we need to help you with that part as well.
And we want to also impress upon you all that exercise does not have to be complex. And when we talked about, better is better, and it's not how much you do, having a laundry list of things to do, you could simply do 4 important movement patterns that relate to the way you need to improve upon, and that in itself is an exercise program if done diligently. So that's another thing we wanted to tell people. I think we think if we don't have an entire hour to spend on exercise, it's all for naught. But seriously, you could accomplish a lot with about 20 minutes a day of a constructed, concise program for yourself.
So this is where I like to kind of start with people. I start with my clients here. Most of the presentations I start here because I want to know, I want to ask you guys questions. When you look back at the 4 components of fitness and how you're incorporating those into your lifestyle now. Okay, what is your fitness grade? Okay, and we don't need to know it, just want you to know it. And the point being is, if it's not an A, awesome, we got something we can work on that.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here today. Hopefully you can walk out here today and be able to make whatever grade it is you got and take it to another level. So how do we go about, once we know what an individual's grades is, what the goals is, how we want to work with people? Just as I kind of mentioned, we want to start assessing. I want to determine why is it that when you walk that you develop this pattern of movement, okay? And it's just, we look at building fitness is just as scientific as building a house. I don't know if any of you ever built a house in your life, but there is a ton of work that goes into building your house. And when it starts with the architect, you got to get a design. Once you have a design, you got to have the property, and then you start building all the pieces, okay? And the very same thing goes when it comes to personalizing a workout for an individual, okay? We've got to determine where you move and how you move, and then we start to build from the foundation up, okay? So we're going to take you guys through right now, because we've been sitting for about 15 minutes. It's time to get out of your chair, because you've probably all heard the saying, sitting is the new smoking. Have you guys all heard that? Yeah, and you know, the scary thing about that is the evidence-based research is starting to show that sitting is becoming more of a healthcare expense to us as a population than smoking actually is. Yeah, is that hard to believe? Okay, that's hard to believe, but that's how detrimental sitting all day. And when you look at our society today and the way our society is made up, sitting is a huge part of what we do. I mean, there's some of us, we can't help but sit. Our jobs require it. So the key, as Edie kind of mentioned, when we do get 10 minutes or 15 minutes or a half an hour, right, we need to know what to do during that time to get the most out of it. Because I can't help but have to sit 20 hours in the next 2 days or 40 hours over the next 4 or 5 days and stuff. So taking it a little bit further, working with individuals with ASD, you know, was something that I learned working with Mitch and Matt is verbal instruction doesn't always do what needs to be done. Okay, it's mirroring. Okay, and I found out that when I incorporated myself into their workouts, we got great workouts because they just followed me, and as they followed me, I could mirror it. They could do anything almost that I could do. That was what was so amazing, is I started to learn about this issue and stuff. So that's why it's so important for us as their mentors, is we need to be able to show these exercises, okay? And they'll be able to mimic us, and they're going to be able to teach their bodies how to do all of this stuff just as well as any of the rest of us. And that's what's so cool about it.
And one thing for maybe the individuals that are a little more profoundly developmentally delayed, you know, just being fitter gives you that creativity and that energy to kind of think out of the box. If something doesn't work that we show you up here, you're thinking, boy, the person that I know could never do that. Having some creative ways to kind of modify down that skill, or what would be the most basic part of that exercise, and could I, in some way, whether it's modeling or full physical prompt, can I get my person to do some of those activities, or what would parallel that would give them the same health benefits? So knowing how to do that is really important. At any point, if you have any questions for us when we're going through these physical demonstrations, please, we would like to have this be very general and informative.
To us, this is the funnest part of the whole deal right now. Let's get moving this stuff and start action that you guys get involved in. So everybody, if you would, stand on up, slide your chairs in. Make sure you got a little bit of space around you, because we're going to start doing an assessment. So this is a modification way of how Edie and I would assess an individual walking into our fitness center. But we chose these because in a large group setting, this is a very simple way for you to start to get a little bit of an understanding of how do I move. So when we look at how does the human body move, there's about 3 or 4 areas that we really start with from a mobility standpoint. Okay, we look at the shoulder. okay? If the shoulder is not able to move through a full range of motion, we know that that indirectly impacts how your neck and your back moves, okay? And if I was to ask the question, how many of you have neck or back pain, okay? Well, we're gonna look at your shoulder, okay? Then we look at the hip joint, okay? Ball and socket in our hip right here, okay? If that ball and socket does not flex and extend and rotate internally and externally through normal range of motion, guess which two joints it does directly impact from an orthopedic standpoint?
Knees.
Knee and your back, right? And when we look at the population across the United States, across the world, what do you think is the #1 area of pain orthopedically that people have? Back and knee, right? So let's get the hip to move. Let's figure out if the hip is moving as well as it should be moving, and if it's not, let's make sure that that's part of our workout. So, in a little bit of open space, where you all have space, what I need you all to do is to stand up. I need you to place your feet together. I'm going to do it on a side view so you can see this. I need you to place your hands up over the top of your head, lock your knees straight, which I'll say at this point, this is one of the very few times I would ever ask the individual to lock your knees straight, okay? Point from here, taking, if you notice, watch my hands. I call this a little short knuckled, okay? I need you to put those knuckles on the floor. And come back up, okay? Okay? So, good, hands down. So the question is, how many of you could not just bend over and put those knuckles on the floor? So what does that tell me? It doesn't say there's anything wrong with your hip. It just says some mobility and flexibility work would be warranted in your workout routine. And just like that, for those of you that have that, you know moving forward, we need to get some exercises for your hip mobility into your routine, okay? Another really important area to look at, ankles. These walls, yeah, they're stable enough. This is perfect. It'll work.
It's good enough.
What I want you guys to do is to go over, and I'll just talk you through this. Go find a spot on the wall where you can lean the wall, and I want you to take your right foot and incline your right foot up on that door so that your toes are above that little brown strip. So it should be on kind of like the tan part of the wall. 2 hands on the wall in front of you. Take a look at your left foot. Your left foot needs to be pointed straight forward. Probably most of you noticed your left foot wasn't standing straight forward. That's a compensation pattern. That's the first thing I'm looking for. Now that you have your left foot straight, okay, keep your right knee locked straight. And you use your back leg to push your belly button to the wall. And you should notice a stretch behind your knee. If you can get your belly button to the wall with your knee staying straight, your right ankle flexes well. If it doesn't, we need to work on your right ankle mobility. Okay? Go ahead and switch sides just so you can get a taste of it. So left foot inclined up on the wall, left toes up onto the tan, right foot, make sure it's pointed straight. Okay? Now push with your back leg and push your belly button to the wall. If you can get your belly button to the wall, your left ankle moves well. If it doesn't, it moves often because you have to use your ankle in everything we do, but we need to help you get your ankle to move well. Okay, very good, you guys. So you may be going, well, what the heck does ankle have to do with, say, hip? The ankle directly impacts our hip movement. If the hip is compensating to make up for a little ankle issue, that puts stress into your back and into your knee. We talk about where our orthopedic issues are. So the ankle is something very important that we do need to work on. And then we're going to do a really quick here, what we call a sit to stand. So I'd like you to all take your chair, slide it back behind you, and we're going to do a little quick strength test, okay? And in this strength test, what you're going to do is you're going to sit down on the front half of your chair. Okay? Front half of your chair, make sure you're where you're not going to bang your knees on anything. Be careful because the chair can slide. Normally we would be holding the chair, and what we're going to do is a sit to stand. And you do not have to participate unless you're wanting to, okay? The idea is you're going to put your hands on your shoulders, okay? When I say begin, you're going to stand up and say to yourself, that's one. When you stand, that's one. You're going to go back down, touch up to the chair, up 2, touch of 3. You're going to do it 10 times. Okay?
And feet hip width apart and feet stable on the floor.
You're going to do it as fast as you can. When I start you at about 12 seconds, I'll start counting down the seconds. So the point is when you hit number 10 rep, I need you to listen to me and go, oh, that was 18 seconds. So then you know how fast you did. And that will give us a base ground, or a baseline of where our strength and stability is at. Okay? 3, 2, 1, and begin.
should have set this to music, Jim. It would be better with
10,
music.
11,
You guys are doing
12,
outstanding.
13, 14,
Very nice.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay? So very good. So point being there, you guys, we just, in a matter of, other than me talking, you could see, you could take an individual through, and in a minute to 2 minutes, you got a little bit of an idea of how their disc move, how their ankle moves, and how their strength of the lower body is. And just like that, you can go, oh, I need to make a little bit of a focus on hip mobility, or I need to work on strength. The strength part, we just did, there's no like pass fail. There's no good or bad. The point is, if it took you 15 seconds to get 10 reps, and we train for a month of lower body movement, strength, cardio, whatever you do, and you come back and retest, and also it goes from 15 seconds to 14 seconds, you've got objective proof it got better. And that's the whole part of our program. And we want to be able to show people that objectively we have gotten better through our workout routine, okay? So let's start to break down each of these individual components now. So we talked flexibility. So Edie kind of mentioned to it already. We're going to try to give you guys now of each of the 4 components. What are some exercises that are good for all individuals to do? And kind of what the research tells us for individuals with ASD kind of leads us in that direction a little bit and stuff. So that's what we call, we just kind of do independent versus assisted. Can the individual, based on mirroring, do it themselves independently, or do we need to provide some assistance for them? So, I know you all sat down in a hurry, but stand back up again, because we're in an exercise. So, we're going to get Edie up on top of the table here, and we're going to start talking you guys through. At this point, if you want to start taking pictures and videos of these exercises, because these are the things that you can walk out of here with and start to utilize with individuals that you have the opportunity to mentor or care for going forward. So, anybody ever use one of these little black devices here that Edie has?
Foam rollers?
Called a foam roller. If you don't have one of those, as a fitness professional, I would say that's probably one of the top 3 things I would recommend that you get into your workout routine is a foam roller. This is your masseuse. So rather than hiring one, you can just buy one, and it's fantastic. They're really expensive. I think this one's $11. Mine is a little over 20 years old, and it still looks like this. As long as the cat doesn't get a hold of it and use it as a scratching pad, it will maintain forever. The key is, as Edie's going to start to demonstrate, is you're going to use this to massage the muscles. You roll on the muscle. So as you roll slowly like a caterpillar pace through a muscle, you find where the sore spot is in a muscle. Once you find that sore spot, you sit on it, and you use that device to massage that out. Now, she's working on her quad right now. You could use this on the calf muscle. You could use this on the hamstring muscle. You can use it on your back. But it's a great device that helps us to work on the different areas. So right now, using your calf, that plays a huge part in your ankle mobility. When you roll, we want you to roll for about 1 minute to 2 minutes. And you just do that every workout as a part of your routine, okay? Now, some people with ASD may not be able to do that, right? So what do we do if they can't do that? Well, maybe we can use a device called a stick, okay? So I'm going to have Edie turn sideways off the table here, and she's going to demonstrate. Well, you could take that stick and at the same time place it on top of her quad or on her calf, either way, and you can use that to massage the muscle. The idea, the science tells us that if you massage a muscle for 1 to 2 minutes prior to placing it on stretch, it takes half as much time in the long run to achieve the length or flexibility that you really want.
And you really will perform better if you, first of all, do foam rolling or
I can tell you this.
Some sort of a release on the muscle.
There's not a college program in the country that doesn't use these every day on their athletes.
And that's first and foremost.
That's how valuable
before
they
you
are.
even do anything else, putting the foam roller on the floor and doing stuff.
And we've been using them at Bondwell High School over Mitchell Matter for at least 12 years already with the high school population, and it's trying to get it into the full population, okay? So, from there, we got to get into some mobility. Yes?
So you're saying to do that prior to working out?
Correct. That would be your start. Yep.
Yeah.
So from there, we want to go now into the stretching part. So we're going to just go ahead and demonstrate. You guys can all do this. Just make sure you have a little bit of time. We call it step and reach. So we got to work on that hip mobility. This is for those of you that stated that you were unable to touch your hands to the ground. What I want you to do, if you can all see me and you just got to position your part, I want you to step with your right foot forward, 1 shoe length, and pop your right toe up in the air. Take your left hand, place it up over the top of your head. Lead with your hips going backwards. That will bring your left palm down to your right big toe. And take it back up. Okay? That is a step and reach. So you could alternate your feet. You could repeat it on the same side. You could do it walking up and down the floor. But you can probably feel that in the backside, loosening it up. Okay? What I love about that one, I teach people like that. I teach people in work attire like you guys are in all the time. I go to their workplace of employment and I go, if you sit at a desk, why can't you push the chair back, stand up, and give me 30 seconds worth of these twice a day? You've got your hip mobility exercise. Now you don't need to go find during your workout time to do hip mobility. You've already incorporated it twice into your day. Okay? Now, that's a challenging one, and you may not be able to, all people with ASD may not be able to do that. So here's some alternatives. So if I have Edie get up on top of the table, she lies down on her back. Maybe the individual can actively pull their knee towards their chest, grab their knee with their hands, pull it in, release it back down, and she's doing an active hip mobility exercise that doesn't include balance. That may be the challenge, okay? So we take balance out of the equation and still get good hip. Now, maybe they can't do that themselves. So as a mentor, I can take and I can gently glide, not to spill the glass of coffee as you do this exercise. So it's not how far does she extend, it's how well does she train her core from hips to neck to maintain a stable posture as she does it, okay? So if we want to work on a different form of stabilization balance training, we can work on, let's go to 3 points with one arm going forward. We can take the arm forward, we can take the arm out to the side, we can take the arm in different front to side motions. So creativity. Again, you can get individuals into this position and you can work on any form of movement. You can take little bands like this, which is what we call an ankle band, and put this around the knees. So if we was to put this around Edie's knees, that would give her a band that she would have for resistance. And that's a great way to put an individual where balance is a little bit concerning, or we're just not sure, safety-wise, into that position. Okay. From there, we take it up to bear crawl. Okay. Bear crawl, a much, much higher level exercise from an intensity standpoint. So I'm gonna let Edie keep exercising. She said she wanted to come in here and get her whole workout in today and stuff. So bear crawl simply means she's picking her knees up off the floor about 3-4 inches. So she went from quadruped to here. Now she's at a modified plank, right? You've all heard planks, getting down to planks. Planks are very challenging for many of us. This is a simple way. So we can take this. So we talked 3 points of movement previously in quadruped. Now Edie is showing 2 points of movement. And we're simply doing a forward and backwards. This can be taken sideways. It can be just held in a stable position and do like a little scapular push-up. Where we're just working those shoulder blades. She could stay in position there and just do one leg kickback. So we went from a quadruped kickback into a bear crawl kickback. Tremendous amount of work being done in her shoulder complex right now. We don't need fancy dumbbells, barbells, weight machines. Put yourself in that position, set a timer for 60 seconds and do what Edie just did. And see if you can make the 60 seconds.
Also an excellent exercise for your entire central nervous system, which is really important, again, you know, just not just for all of us, but in particular for the population. So, and again, you can do full physical prompts with that. If you need to put your hands on the individual, we do that all the time with the general population to get them to connect. So
continuing with a little bit more core stabilization and strengthening. There's lots and lots of toys out there that we can use that, again, that are very inexpensive. So this happens to be a med ball. You can purchase these at many different stores. You know, they're going to cost you 10 to 20 bucks. With a med ball, you can do any gamut array of exercises again. And one of the terms that we like to talk in is 3 planes of motion. So the human body has to move in 3 planes, meaning the human body has to be able to move forward and backwards. It has to move side to side. And the human body, if I want to go over there and talk to Edie, I can either go over there and talk to Edie, or I can simply turn and go talk to her. And we need to be able to train the body in all those 3 planes. That's the coordination part of it and stuff. So this ball allows us to do a lot of that. So we're just going to show you a bunch of different simple movements here. that you can actually incorporate very simply in there with a med ball. So let's just start with a rotation. So we're just going to set up in a nice simple position and just incorporating full body rotation. Mitch and Matt love this one. I don't know if you know those two boys. What is their summer passion? Go out there and play golf. Exactly. Okay, it's a great way to get started and get warmed up right here. So Edie was demonstrating that. That was one plane of motion. Okay, now she's just doing a little overhead. So that's a front movement, basically, if you want to say. We can take that front movement and turn it into an angle movement. So we can incorporate a little bit of what we call a wood chop. So now we're getting a rotation and a front to back movement pattern. That can be done from multiple different sides. We always recommend with these exercises that you do not start with throwing. You know, people see a ball right away, they want to throw. And not that we can't throw, but is our body truly ready to accelerate and throw with force? And then, of course, catch the ball. And we don't want to do that until we've got really good control stability so we don't irritate our back and our knees as we're going through those different throwing processes.
This one gets really high marks for people with autism.
Yeah.
The bear crawl, the ball slam, mirroring type activities.
Yeah.
If you look up exercise for people with autism, you will see like 5 points of interest that they did a lot of research on. So, and then partner work, you and I side by side. So here's that social interaction, getting a workout buddy. And there's hand-eye coordination, there's fluidity of movement. We can add a little squat to that,
So
right, Jim?
that's where it gets to be a lot of fun when you start to interact with individuals and start going and doing those on a repeated basis.
How long are you doing each of those?
Well, that's the cool part. There is no wrong.
20, 30 seconds, or maybe up to 4. For the general population, the circuits are really popular, and they did some research on at about what point do we see the tasks start to deteriorate, and it was about at 45 seconds for most people.
A good way that I do a lot of, Edie and I do a lot of the very same type of training, so your question is if I was to take all of you guys into workout partnered up in a ball, and I say, all right, each of you throw the ball back and forth 10 times each. Some of you would be tired by the time you got done with 10 throws, and others of you would be just starting to get warmed up to begin a routine. So we like to use the timing sequence more and say, all right, do as many throws as you can in 45 seconds with good control and moving well. Now we're going to give you 15 seconds of rest, and we're going to repeat that 5 times. You know, and people always go, oh, that's going to be easy, 45 seconds. That's first set it is.
And that's 8 pounds. That's
Second set, they start to get challenged. Third set, they're looking at me like I probably shouldn't open the mouth and said that. By the 5th set, they don't like the exercise anymore because they're dead tired. And that took a whole 5 minutes of that exercise. But that's how quick and effectively you can do an exercise. 5 minutes is all it takes to truly, really effectively engage the muscles we want.
The med balls come in all sorts of materials and shapes and sizes. And taking a skill like that and adding it into the previous sit and stand, sitting on a chair with a partner. Every time you stand up, you throw the ball, then you sit down. They throw the ball, then you sit down. So now you're incorporating 2 components of movement, which makes you so much more coordinated and connected. So, getting all that connection, making it fun, making it a game. So
next one, we're going to get you all involved in again. So you've been standing and watching, but we haven't talked about this important area of your body yet. Shoulders, right? Those of us that have neck pain, how many of us carry this tension up here? How many of us notice? Because we sit all day, because we work all day, because we got text thumb, and we're out in this position all the time, all right? We need to work on getting posture, okay? And there's a bunch of stretching you have to do for your shoulders, but we're going to just talk stability today. And arm circles is one of those mirroring exercises that is very, very easy to implement. You guys are going to see 1 minute from now when we finish how hard this is really to do. So we need you to spread yourselves out so where you can get in this position, you're not going to hit your hands. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to set the timer here for 1 minute, and we're going to take you through. And please, as you're doing this, do not think that you have to do this for 1 minute. Remember, Edie said that 45 seconds is really considered to be the max time. We're going to see if we can go a minute here on our first time through. So Hands straight up to the side. Small circles going in a forward position. Nice and small. Keep it inside of about a 12-inch diameter. I'm just going to walk you through a few different changes as we go through this. Okay? So, when you're doing this, head tall, chin tucked. Let's go backwards. Meaning chin tucked, we got a baseball. So your fist gives you good. Okay? As you're doing this, now I want you to start to focus. Let's go forward and take it into, like we're going around the basketball. Basketball is in here, we got to get our hand around the basketball. Now, as you're doing this, eyes focused on one spot on the wall. And can you feel your body, how your body is being challenged? Keep your body still. You're going to feel as your arms are doing this, your body wants to move. Don't let your body move. Now, take it backwards if you would. Okay?
Do you guys feel your shoulders burning?
Yeah. Are they burning? Yeah.
So
Just hit 45 seconds.
Is this not exercise?
Okay.
It's this simple.
Okay, now, let's finish it. And you can stop. And that was 1 minute. Okay? So when you do that, the point being is you could take that and directly impact your rotator cuff. You can talk good posture, good neck posture. Again, as you increase the size of the circle, if you increase the speed of the circle, that throws your body off center. Now we're working on stability. We're making ourselves a tree trunk. How about if we go out there and do this? See how hard it is for me to stay still? That is huge core work, okay? And by doing that in these different directions, you can take and turn that into this, okay? So again, you don't need a lot of tools to train your shoulders, to train posture, train core. But here's the fun part. So now you get a little bit comfortable with that. You've done a few routines. Let's everybody stand on your right leg. Okay? Now everybody stand on your right leg. Now let's just do a couple circles forward and backwards on your right leg. Okay? Just a couple, just to get a taste. Okay? Now put your right hand down and do that with your left hand. And now it's much more challenging. Okay? Because I put 20 pounds out here. Your center of gravity is shifted out there. I don't have you balanced anymore. So now your cross stabilization training, balance, shoulder, posture, all in one. Very quick, effective, simple ways to work on getting some good upper body work into your routine. Okay?
Jim, just grab on this simple, just go ahead and just show them a row really quick, like how simple, inexpensive.
So a nice band, this is something that we use, this is $11 band. So we can turn this into a rowing exercise with one arm, we can turn it into a rowing exercise with two arms. I can flip it and I turn it into bench pressing. I can take and put it into a lateral pull. I can set myself up and I can work my triceps, okay? We can take and put it into core exercise for rotation. I can turn it into put it out here, and that maybe looks really easy, but guess what? If I let go, that's going to torque me like crazy. That's working my core really hard right now.
And I'll be angry if you let go. And there's also attachments you can get, so you put that just above, you know, the hinge in the door, and then you can get all sorts of very inexpensive tubing things that work every bit as good as a cable machine.
So for $11, I've told my clients this for years. I've been using those for almost 20 years now. I can take anybody in this room with that band and train you to any goal you want to achieve.
With one band.
With that band. Guarantee 100%. I know I can do it. And there's nobody in this room that can survive a half-an-hour workout with me with that band. Nobody. And I'm not saying that it's just that's how good those bands are. So for a very small investment for yourself, for the people you want to work with, that's a great device that you go out and get. I'll show you the website because you can only buy that on the website. And if you're a band person and you learn to love bands, performbetter.com. It's the only place you can buy that band. You can buy bands at every store you want, all over the place on the websites.
I think also powersystems.com has them too, maybe?
That's a generic offset.
Is that it?
Yeah, there's generic offsets on there. Performbetter.com, that is where that band is made right here in Wisconsin. That's a homegrown product developed here in the state of Wisconsin by one of our own strength coaches and stuff. And they are guaranteed to last. So we're going to move on real quick because I know time is getting short. Jumping. So we got to get into the cardiovascular standpoint. So most of us, when we think cardiovascular, right, we think, okay, we got to get out, we got to run, we got to walk, we got to get on the bike. We can take the device like a speed ladder and put an individual through a easy little jumping routine, right? Nish, Matt? You guys remember doing this? Are you both like that? Just Matt?
What up?
Okay. You guys remember doing this stuff, right? We've done different jumping routines. You can take and go through that where you don't stop and your heart rate gets up. That's cardiovascular. It does not need to be running constant. It does not need to be treadmill. These dots are fantastic. I don't know if you can see Edie right now, but it gives you a visual. Okay? So it gives you a target. So from a mirroring standpoint, it's very simple.
And then you're not tripping over a
There's
hurdle.
nothing to catch your feet on and do it and stuff. So jumping again in 3 planes of motion, if that's a
And
little too high
also,
level, go on to a ball.
This stuff's awesome.
Use the ball to start working on coordination and control. That air-filled ball right there is about $35. It's kind of like a band. You'd be amazed at what you can do on that little inexpensive piece of equipment to help with coordination, core, balance, and strengthening. Okay? Sweet. You guys got any questions on any of those exercises? So point being here, Edie had the opportunity last week. I don't know if any of you heard of it, but she had a really cool
2 weeks ago,
course.
we did a class for people with autism. We did 3 30-minute classes, and we just set our aerobics studio up with a lot of fun little obstacle things, and the entire families came in, and they had a lot of fun with that. We had some light music on. You know, some of the kids loved this giant clock. And they were fixated, you know, just like all of us. We want to know when this is going to be done. So in 30 seconds, you get to be done. But just simple, basic movement patterns. We had station cards, and we had lots of sensory input things. We even had a fidget table for individuals that were getting a little distracted or maybe weren't interested in some of the traditional circuits. There was a table with all sorts of sensory input toys that they could just take a little time out. So that worked out really good, and we're going to be probably offering that again as a regular
What are the
class.
yellow things on the floor?
White, yellow things. Go back, Jim.
On the, like,
Oh, this?
those,
That.
no, the
Oh, that
bars.
thing on the floor right there.
Those
These?
are hurdles.
Oh, hurdles.
Those
Oh,
are.
they're just hurdles, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, they're right here.
Oh.
So a little bit higher level jumping.
So those
device.
are higher, and then you can make them lower. But again, and also they're plastic, so if you wind up hitting into them, they just kind of fall over. But the dots are fun too. You know, any of that visual input, all that sensory input stuff just gives them more information to have as far as getting the exercise comprehended.
So to kind of leave you guys with a few things to kind of wrap up how to talk to the exercise part, these are a few different websites that are very, very valuable to go out. Edie mentioned a little bit earlier about the 5 important exercises. We've gone through those. That was the bear crawl was one of them. The jumping is another huge part of it. The med balls was a huge part of that. You can go onto these sites. We did send this PowerPoint to Julie. Those of you that when we register, if you include your email and registration, she's going to be able to send this all to you and stuff, so you'll have access to all of this. Otherwise, you have to take a picture. I really like what David Geslek has to say in their foundation. He's got a really good article in there that you might be interested in reading. Also just wanted to throw on here, there's a really good research article that talks about strength comparisons. They're starting to do obviously more evidence-based strength training, comparing individuals with ASD versus, and they've found that there is, in this study, a noticeable difference in hand grip strength from individuals that have ASD to individuals don't, that are in the same gender and the same age group, which means all the more importance that we do work with these individuals to work on their strength and maintain that strength.
Jim, go back to the previous slide. The Exercise Buddy app, has anybody ever looked at? There's an app out that is very, like if your kids or the person is into technology, just very interactive, very bright colors, very easy to take the app screen by screen and do simple exercises, and there's lots of fun feedback with it when you accomplish the task. Very easy to use is that app, Exercise Buddy. So
So a couple of our favorite sayings. I like this one. I've been using this one for years and years. Train smarter, not harder. I watch people train all the time. I can't tell you as an athletic trainer how many times over the years people have come to me and said, you know, my back started hurting. So I started doing more core. I'm doing more core and more core, and my back feels worse. Okay? It's not about doing more. It's about learning how to train smarter, and that's the key as you're getting your routines. Look at the 4 components, figure out which of the components you need the most out of. Always start with flexibility if you need it in all areas, okay? And better yet, if you're not quite sure what to do, work with us. Let us help you. That's what we're here for, okay? Because more is not better. Better is the key to all of training. So at Bell and Health, we've got many different opportunities for individuals that are looking to learn, what do I do? What do I need to do to get myself into the position of health that I want to be, that we need ourselves to be in? So we offer a multitude of different options out there for people, anywhere from a membership to training. We included on here the small group family. That's something that we've started to really do a lot more. We've actually got family groups coming in.
Yeah.
Mom and dad, kids coming in and doing this. Or just mom and dad are coming in and stuff. So it's a great way. It makes it a little bit more inexpensive to come in.
And we offer always a free consultation, a half-hour consult if you want to just come in and discuss.
If you are interested in going through an assessment for yourself and you really want to, we offer a 7-movement screen assessment. It's a 1-hour deal where we go through. That's something that's my passion. That's what I do on all people that come into our facility that most of us get up to work, is we want to know where you're at the start so we can better design creatively that program to fit you.
I'm Matt Richard's dad, and I just want to say I've known him for 10 years. He came and did balance stuff on the line. I coach football and other things there. That's kind of how we started himself. And at the time, Matt and Mitch got into the big group. We had 40, 50 kids, and we would come in, or we had other person come in and teach kids, and they couldn't follow, they just couldn't follow the instructions as well. So that's when we started doing these single 2-on-1 trainings and things like that. I'm honestly, Evie is an absolute genius. What we did with Matt Mitchell was absolutely incredible. We tried, Julie and I tried everything to get them to push up for years, and got them to be, and he broke it down into things that were really Boston 120 and legitimate push-ups. They just hit the floor. None of the things physically that you saw get involved for basketball. None of the things that would happen about that individual training. And it was definitely, it was expensive at times. I was struggling with that. But I will tell you from my perspective, and we debate this sometimes, for the second portion of their life, from 8th grade on, this was the most effective thing we did. We tried every possible comparing training their roles, but they needed to fit their bodies. And then they couldn't, Matt couldn't jump from the bottom of the step to the floor. And literally, he would stand there and couldn't do it. And I remember going to Beach's place, I'll never forget it. He had them do the JJ Watt thing. They stood and jumped on a box and back down. I couldn't do it. And that was literally because he took it and broke it into pieces. So, and I love what you said too, is depending on where the kids are, breaking it down to whatever they're able to do.
Well, from a neurological perspective too, if you take all that energy and think about if you have to focus so much on how you move your body, and that isn't natural, and you don't train to be natural, if you could do that, you free up neurologically all those abilities to create better academic experiences, better social experiences, because now you move without thinking. So that's why physical fitness is so important. And I have to say that's why one-on-one and two-on-one personal training for the masses is important. There's a lot of general population people that don't do well in a group setting. They just don't get it. So when we're training one-on-one, we're right in front of them. We're sometimes putting our hands on the body to get things to move and to get those connections. So, that's kind of a general statement.
So just to go off of what Dave said a minute ago, I just wanted to show you Mitch and Matt's routine. So by the time they were freshmen in NWTC and they were coming and working out with me in our workout sessions a couple times a week, I would take them through, and I know you guys don't know what these are, but you'll get, again, when you're registered, if you got Gmail, you'll get this workout routine. You can Google these, or you can call me and I will send you pictures of these. But this was their dynamic warm-up. They went through these 10, 12 exercises in their first 10 minutes of dynamic warm-up. We got into plyometric. That's what Dave was just talking about right there. We were doing box depth drops, box jumps, jumping up. I think if I remember right, Mitch, by the time he was done, he was actually jumping up on top of a 24 or 30-inch box. Can you imagine jumping from here up on top of that table? That's what he was able to do. But yet when we started, he couldn't even hardly jump and stuff. So the point being is with the right type of training, we can do almost anything. So we talk about horizontal plows and Swiss ball. That's the big ball right there that we were doing. We had them into the weight room and they were doing all their lifts. This is their actual routine. So you look at all of that, that's what we did in an hour. All of that stuff. So it just takes training, time, dedication, and most importantly, I think for, at least I can say with Mitch and Matt, they loved what they did. They loved doing it, so we made it fun. And once they got fun with it, you know, and then it was a social interaction. I'll never forget one time, and I always remember those guys love golf, as you guys know. And we were sitting there, and I said one day, we were talking about the Masters or something like that, and I said, I wonder how many of the professional golfers use Titleist balls. And one of them jumped up and said 57. What do you mean? Oh yeah, 57, I counted them out. I know exactly which one, and he went on and rattled off.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, but that was the whole social. It was just awesome, that stuff.
So one other thing in closing, if you're going to train at Bellin, you do not need a membership. You don't have to buy a separate membership. And also our month of May, our entire month of May, we have personal training on sale always during the month of May. So if you're interested in even just going through the free consultation and an appointment to set up an in-home program, we can do that too. So to get that knowledge.
You guys got any questions?
Any
for us?
questions?
Yes.
I have a client who has autism as well as some other health issues, and we've had a hard time finding someone who can work with him on his level. Do you guys do any, like, aside from just the fitness, like nutrition coaching as well? He needs to weight level calculating.
Sure.
We do have, as a part of our fitness center, we do have a licensed registered dietitian that works with us who, in both realms, works with all populations of people. Yes. Yep. So that's part of what comes with being a part of the fitness facility. Yes.
I am with the Autism Society in Wisconsin, and I facilitate an adult support group. We still say Asperger because it's just a high functioning group. I've tended to, well, my son is 44, late diagnosed. So that seems to be the age group we're in. So these are adults, and most of these programs they go to for autism are for young people, kids transitioning, which is awesome. I love it. But for our adults, they're a more isolated population.
For sure.
And this was something I've just gotten very interested in because the latest articles I've been reading are that there's studies showing that autistics, people with autism die at a younger age, quite a bit younger. As a matter of fact, and it's like heart disease and, suicide is very high too. So that's pretty sad. But this is right up my alley because I'm thinking I really like my group to be able to kind of get assessed to see.
And you know, we could create a program for that group, and also, you know, also think about endorphin release. Does everyone know what endorphin release is? When we do physical activity at a particular level, we get that endorphin release. That is a feel-good hormone that makes us feel euphoric. So if we could do that every other day with this population, we probably could eliminate a lot of the suicide.
The biggest things that these people will talk about are anxiety and depression. Social anxiety keeps them isolated.
Yep.
You know, many of them have had so many bad experiences, whether it's trying to go to college or employment, that they've kind of given up on even.
So just the inclusion.
You know, just
the
to a
inclusion.
doctor, maybe doctor appointment, they have to, it takes them weeks.
Yes.
Maybe one doctor appointment, so, you know, it just gets harder, not easier. So
Yes, I
we
do
gotta
understand that.
stop that, you know, as young as we can.
Sure.
And that.
So we need a support group for that
Yeah,
population.
Just to show you how easy it is, talking about the endorphins, you guys, the latest research I was just reading on it just a day or two ago, they've got studies out there right now that show that as little as 10 minutes where you get your heart rate above 50% of your max is already starting to release the endorphins in our bodies. So, you know, so many of us oftentimes in exercise think, I don't have an hour. I haven't got 45 minutes. And that's what we always used to think. When I grew up back in the 70s and 80s going through and working out, you know, workouts had to be 2 hours long. You know, science shows us now that 10 minutes of a good workout where you get your heart rate above 50% of max already is starting to release those endorphins. So just imagine, do this for a
It's super
minute.
simple.
Just do that for a minute. Do a little bit of that type of work and how quickly you're going to get your heart rate up there, cardio, and you're going to get that release. That's going to be so positive.
Right, and one thing I'll just add, and I know with my adults, is I've tried different things. I had a yoga and talk, and they were all very eager to try it. But, and we even had some free time, they offered free intro, but none of them showed up. I didn't know person showed up, and they came out of their comfort zone, very, you know, just get started. But I know that once they start something, I mean, we did a walk, we went for a walk once up at UWGP, and a couple of them linked up, and now they really incorporated that. They walk every Saturday. My son is one of the other guys. They go for a walk, they always go out there, and they always do it on Saturday, you know, but it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
Because it's,
yeah.
now it's kind of built in.
Well, we would all like
Excellent.
routine, right?
Yeah.
We're all looking for routine.
So thank you very much, you guys, for coming.
Yeah.
We are going to be here over the lunch hours, and also if you have questions, we'll be happy to sit down with you.